Going live.
We're live.
Should be live now. Let's see if sound is working better. Better now? Can you guys hear me? Awesome. So it seems the second try worked a lot better. Awesome. So we're here now, and I think the community has the latest link. Just checking with my colleagues to make sure that we have everything up and running. I do think the link is good and it's already spread everywhere. So it's great to have you here and great to have the conversation. It's been quite some time since our last conversation and community town hall. And today we have quite a lot to cover, go through, and expand on. So it's really, really great to finally be able to have this town hall and be able to share some of the latest news and updates that we currently have. The current conversation and the current town hall will be will proceed as follows. So I'll begin with just a reminder on what MultiversX really is. What's a really great way of thinking about it? Then I'll cover some of the important milestones that we achieved that are really important for the ecosystem, for the community. And then, of course, we'll discuss about some of the most important and relevant and also exciting steps that we have ahead of us. So without further ado, I'll just begin expanding on things. The most important part, as we begin and discuss some of the points and milestones that we're thinking about and that we're making progress on, is to always remember why we're here, what we're actually trying to achieve. And as MultiversX expands, to remember what it actually is at every step of the way. And perhaps a much better and efficient metaphor than all we've had up until this point is thinking about MultiversX as a kind of digital supercomputer with some very specific properties. And some of the properties that you can think about when you think about blockchain networks, composable open source tools and ecosystems, and especially when you think about this digital supercomputer, are provable transparency, strong cryptographic guarantees, and deterministic contracts. Now, all of this is actually live. The network is open source, it's live, and I could not be more excited by the state it is in. We've had absolutely no downtime. We've moved and upgraded the network many, many times throughout the last year, throughout this year. And we have actually some quite exciting milestones on this front as well. But the most important part is if we think about this digital supercomputer and what it can do and what can be built on it, then the most important part is to think how we can bring adoption and expand adoption on top of it. And there are essentially two ways of thinking about this. One way is to build better or simpler tools that enable builders around the world to really build on this digital supercomputer and leverage some of the steps that we have already put in place. The second one, the second different path that we believe will prove extremely productive is building new interfaces that enable different groups of people from around the world to interact with either applications that are running on this digital supercomputer or different features and tools that are running on it. This is, in fact, what we've been doing for the past period, as soon as we've set the network in motion. This is what we're doing right now, and we've made significant progress during the last period. To see a bit what we've gone through, I think it's great to remember the last time we've had a really great and proper conversation. And this was X Day. X Day Paris was extraordinary in many, many ways. It has brought together the most relevant and the most loved community members and builders and projects within the ecosystem, and has given them a voice. It has also expanded on the vision that we started with when we presented Elrond to the world, and it has expanded specifically on the transformation that we've gone through when we expanded from Elrond to MultiversX. Now, the entire point can be boiled down when it comes to MultiversX to expansion, extension, bridging, and blurring the lines. This have been our themes over and over again with each of the products that we've released. And to make this point even clearer, I'll just briefly touch on the main milestones that we've achieved, that we set out to achieve, that we then achieved, and on top of which we can build now and leverage. And those milestones can each be used and reused within the ecosystem by the entire community. The first milestone after X Day has been the X Exchange. And I cannot stress enough how much effort has been put in by the entire team to make sure that we release the X Exchange, that we bring a new model with the X Exchange to the world, that we demonstrate this model and try to build in a compelling way on top of it. Now, since that point, several new and exciting updates have come and have been announced for the X Exchange. And in fact, even the last period, the last few weeks, and the last month, we've reached a point where several new milestones are in the pipeline, about to be announced and presented to the community as significant steps forward that will enable us to bring more liquidity to the exchange, will enable liquidity providers to use the exchange even simpler and better, and new incentives and features that will serve the different stakeholders that are participating within the X Exchange. This has been an important milestone, and we continue to believe that once a few of the incentives are aligned and recalibrated, that the X Exchange will continue and improve or expand the way it serves the community at this point, which is enabling liquidity, enabling exchanges, enabling transfers for the entire ecosystem. Of course, there are many more tools like this and more to come, and we're super excited to see all of them. But this has been and will continue to be a very important step on top of which we're building. Now, the second milestone after the X Exchange has been X Spotlight. The release of X Spotlight, the new features that have been present and have been unveiled, the featuring and integration with some of the other marketplaces like Xoxon, like Frameit, and some of the other ones that are in the ecosystem, and just providing an overview of what happens within the ecosystem and putting a spotlight no pun intended, on the relevant communities, the relevant projects that are contributing and trying to create something worthwhile within the NFT space. Um, Beyond that, we've had the MultiversX wallet, the MultiversX Explorer, and now very, very recently, the MultiversX Bridge. These are core products that everyone in the community uses. They're extremely important, but they are not products that are single and eliminate the need or the benefits of other potential products that could be either complementary or could replace them. We put a lot of effort, a lot of love in each of these products, and we've seen a lot of positive feedback with respect to the features, with respect to design, and with this respect to just the UX enhancements that have been presented with each of them. We're very excited and very proud about each of the milestones we've made, and also believe that as we've released these products, people will discover new features and new upgrades that will continue to come on top of them. Now, probably one of the most important and significant milestones that we've unveiled is the X Portal Super App. And this is extremely important because it combines and leverages all the other tools that have been built across the ecosystem, not only by the team, by our team, but by many, many teams inside the ecosystem. And so with Exportal, we've set on a new path that will expand the utility of the supercomputer, as I was mentioning right at the beginning, and will also expand the potential addressable market in a way where the features, the applications, and the utility that we have does not become limited and does not remain inaccessible to the world that is beyond the current group of people that is playing or exploring the blockchain ecosystem, the crypto ecosystem, and so forth. In fact, each of the features that we've presented, whether it's the wallet, whether it's the card that's extremely exciting and that everyone is waiting, whether it's the digital AI avatar, whether it's the hub that today received another update with new dApps, new apps that are present, that have just been listed, or whether it's NFTs, swaps, and some of the other applications or features that we've presented. All of them try to dramatically simplify the experience, to tell a different story to simple users that could then interact with these core applications without having to learn about them, without having to learn rocket science specifically. But by looking at these things, by getting educated, by learning about them in a fun and cool way, they can then discover that there's much more to the space. This has been the first step with the X Portal Super App. But of course, the first step, it doesn't end with the first step. The first step is extremely important. It's crucial because without it, we cannot move forward. But with the first step done, the second and third step are coming, and those are very, very exciting. Now, moving forward, what I believe becomes clear is that with the transformation to MultiversX, each of the products has been elevated, transformed, simplified, and there's a new coherence and alignment to each of them that will only bring more value to each of the other products. And this is what we believe will, at the end of the day, simplify the experience clarify what we're trying to build and what we're trying to offer, and enable more and more people to start interacting with the tools, with the products, and with the technologies that we're bringing to the world. Um, Even more important, or complementary to what I was mentioning before, we've made quite significant progress with some very, very strategic milestones, whether it's the Tencent Cloud collaboration that we've expanded on, and we've presented, that we've seen the community has loved. A lot more updates are coming on that front, but it has been in the works for some time, and it's great to see this type of steps come to fruition, and it's great to be able to present them to the community after so much effort. Then the human protocol collaboration is also exciting. Very much looking forward to utility and adoption, usage being brought to the network during the next weeks and months. Of course, collaborations with Binance will continue to happen, and will come more and more during the next period. The ledger staking integration is also an important and useful milestone for the ecosystem, and the Opera integration is also strategic and relevant because it brings the MultiversX network and set of tools and the Eagle token to a very large number of users that are either interested in blockchain and crypto, or even though they might not be very familiar with the ecosystem, having the token listed, having the integration done, we can then ship some of the products. We can then expose some of the users that are within the Opera ecosystem to the MultiversX tokens, the ecosystem tokens that deliver and expand and provide real utility to the different users. So we're really excited about these steps as well. And all of this brings us to an even more important point. We have a very firm foundation on top of which we're building. This entire year will be about how we build sustainable foundations across the products, across the teams, across the ecosystem, but then also how we scale. Because building foundations is crucial. Without robust foundations, we cannot build important products. We cannot reach scale unless we have really robust foundations. But then scaling is almost like a different language. Scaling requires learning of new skills, requires unlearning of some of the skills or some of the things you thought you knew, and requires a different type of mindset. And so, as we see some of these steps that have been very important for the ecosystem, we're now preparing to enter a much more accelerated growth phase and expansion phase with the next steps that are coming to the entire ecosystem. And this entire next step will be about scaling on several verticals, on several paths that will explore with the entire ecosystem. The point with the scaling part is this: it's not enough to just launch products. It's not enough to just bring them to the market, but then you need to spend a lot of time refining them, bringing new growth strategies and growth challenges for each of the products in order for them to reach new users and to reach their goals. And so, for the third point that we're going to explore, the third point we're going to call expansion to the power of X. And the idea with this point is we've been thinking a lot of everything we've done with Hypergrowth 100, the steps that we've taken, the lessons that we've learned. And we've also been thinking hard how we could actually scale that and grow that and make that 10 times more exciting and 10 times more efficient. And this is what we came up with. The whole point is we're now at this strategic um, junction point where we shift focus from the network, the MultiversX team, to the MultiversX ecosystem, to the many verticals on which things are being built, to the many products that are being built, and starting a process of scaling the idea of putting the spotlight on the different verticals, serving the different stakeholders that are present in the different verticals, and making sure that as we progress or make progress, the world hears about everything that is being built with some very, very significant and exciting marketing and growth campaigns. So, going a bit more into into specifics, there are a few verticals that we've been thinking, and that after the call, probably by the end of the week, we'll expand on in a written document. And all these verticals just go to show how complex this idea of the open source supercomputer can be if you look at it through all the layers that are being built and that have brought tremendous progress already. And the different layers that you can think about are the following. First, it's the protocol, the network that ties everything together, that enables these new applications, these new products to be run and run at scale. We have some very exciting milestones and protocol upgrades that from now on, as you've read in the past, will have new names and new explanations that the entire community can read or learn about and participate in, because we'll reveal 3 or 4 releases that are already in the pipeline, that are scheduled, and that will be coming up during the next few months. The first one that you probably already know about is Alter. This important upgrade will be Guardian's social recovery and several really important improvements. The next protocol upgrade will be Proxima Centauri, and this will bring a sovereign shards or sovereign chain alpha. This will be demonstrated. The idea will be to start with several partners to test the integrations, to improve them in a very close feedback loop, and get this ready for large scale. Then we'll have the Sirius upgrade, which will bring several new features that you'll discover. Then the Vega update will very likely bring the staking phase 4 upgrade. And then Andromeda will probably be one of the upgrades that will bring sovereign chains and sovereign shards as an almost new galaxy that will expand the utility, the adoption, and the usage of the network in a way that's unparalleled with perhaps any application that has been bringing these effects up until that point. A lot of effort has been put into this. Some of this you've already heard about, but the entire point is the protocol is moving forward. The updates and upgrades are coming. They're very serious. And at this point, we do have one of the most advanced blockchain architectures in the world. It's live. It has not had any downtime, which is extremely, extremely important. And we'll continue to improve it just as we continue to expand on the products and applications that are coming on top of it. This will be one vertical and we'll continue to expand on it. And as we prepare a written document with this, you'll be able to get a glimpse and know when this is approximately coming. This can and will very likely change in some respects, but it's important to have a guiding principle and to have an idea on what the order of the different releases will be and what important features or milestones they'll bring. Now, moving to the second milestone, I think it's really, really important to discuss further on the product roadmap. We're not only expanding the protocol, but we're continuing to expand the product roadmap. We have a few of the products. Um, all of them almost are open source. And as we're getting close to open sourcing new products, we see an explosion of other products coming to life, being designed and created by the community. And we're very happy to see this new iterations. We're very happy to see this type of really rapid feedback loop being played by the community, and especially during the last few weeks, it almost seems like the community has reached a tipping point in preparation, perhaps for this new town hall. So the product roadmap takes into account several things. One, as I've said before, the whole point for us is not to launch something and then to forget about it, but to make sure that we spend enough time on a product until the outcome that we believe is valuable and interesting and important for the user can be achieved. This is the most important point, and this is why whenever we believe there's more time needed, we'll communicate this clearly, transparently, in order to make sure that as we release something, the new products really improve people's lives and become the most compelling products that we could possibly build. So, having said this, the next important milestone that we'll probably explore together will be a growth phase with Xportal. As I've said, we've spent a lot of time, a lot of energy in creating this interface that simplifies the interaction, that brings everything that we've built together, and that also creates a space like an app store within the app where countless new applications can be shared, can be presented, can be discovered. With this application, we believe we'll be able to scale to millions and tens of millions of users during the next immediate period, during the next years. We intend to scale much beyond that number, but reaching a scale of, for instance, 10 million users is a very important and strategic milestone that we're focusing with the Xportal application. And I believe that during the next month or two, we're going to see a new and sustained growth communication and marketing campaign that will leverage the Xportal app and share this with the world. It will be across several countries, taking different countries one step at a time, iterating, testing, learning, refining, and then shipping new features and new upgrades to the application in a way that will improve people's lives even further. One point that I will stress here is during the next weeks, we'll also try to discover from the community what the most interesting, exciting, and loved features of the app really are. So if you've been thinking a lot about the app, about how it can be improved, about different features that you believe would completely change the either experience or utility or benefits of the applications. We're super curious to hear them, and super curious to see how things could be improved. And here, I'm not only thinking about, let's say, new small features, but just looking at it as how as it is right now, but then also looking at it through new eyes, through new things that could be added, and so forth. So if you have ideas around this, please write some threads. Please share them in any way you can. We're very curious to hear about them, and we've actually seen a lot of great feedback from the community in this respect. Now, this will be a very, very important and sustained next step. The second step that will recalibrate is X Launchpad. The whole point is everything that we've proposed in the roadmap up until this point has been achieved, and we've over delivered in that respect. We'll continue to push as hard as possible, but now we're also trying to scale some of the things, scale some of the themes, and move forward even more strategically than up until this point. So to do this, we're also going to change, update, and recalibrate the roadmap according to what we see at this point as some of the most important steps that are needed and that we want to achieve in order for things to be able to grow even more sustainably, and to a scale that goes beyond what we've achieved up until this point. So within this framework, as I've mentioned, the X portal is the first step. The second step is the X Launchpad, which will probably move to either sometime in April or sometime in May. We're very, very close to coming with some updates on this front, and some exciting updates indeed. So as we make progress on this, I think if you're a really great startup, you want to apply to the X Launchpad. There are other launchpads within the ecosystem, but the X Launchpad will continue to provide really great value. And we're curious to hear from you if you're a builder. The third um, milestone that people will be very, very excited about will be X Money. And of course, here we've made a lot of progress with the Utrust team. We've made a lot of progress with the TwistPay team. A lot of effort is being put to clarify, integrate, and prepare things for the next step, to unite them and put them together such that they're complementary and add tremendous value to the merchants, to the different companies within the ecosystem, and to the users. Some new updates on this front will be coming during the month of April, and we're quite excited about those as well. Now, there are three milestones that we put a lot of thought and focus on, in addition to all the milestones that I've discussed when it comes to products. One of them is Xfabric, and with Xfabric, we've made really great progress since November. Um, the product is shaping up really, really meaningfully. And I do believe that once it will be demonstrated and presented to the community, to creators and builders, they'll have a blast. They'll really enjoy the product, and will be very excited about it. The time frame for the Xfabric application product will probably be we're still considering whether it will remain end of April or whether an update to this will come and it will be presented in May. The whole point is we'll have a phased launch here, with feature after feature being presented, being announced, and demonstrated. We're strategic people with strategic partners, with strategic builders within the community. And as soon as we have an update on this, I believe during the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have a very specific announcement on the date that will remain fixed for the X Fabric launch. Now, one thing that we've not discussed about publicly, but we've been thinking and spending thoughtful effort on, is a learning platform. Of course, we know how important and how relevant learning really is for the community, for the developers, for the different builders. And we put a lot of thought and effort into a new type of platform that could provide a learning experience for each of the different products that we're going to unveil. Whether you're a developer and just want to learn how you should start and where you should start and what's the simplest and fastest route to getting started and getting your first app ready, that's what you'll be able to learn. Whether you're just a validator and want to set up a node and start staking and so forth, that's what you'll be able to learn. And whether you're just a builder within the NFT space that wants to bootstrap a project and bring it to life with a community of excited explorers, you'll be able to also learn that. So I believe that during the next 2 to 4 weeks, we'll also have an update specifically on a time frame for this learning platform. Perhaps there might be a tentative time frame for the learning platform by the end of the week. If we manage to present the document, hopefully either by Friday or on Monday, we'll have that version. The last product that I'm going to mention in the product roadmap is X Worlds. We've been making quite significant progress on X Worlds as well. A lot of thought, a lot of effort has been put into this. But we've also discovered that there are many new things that we want to take into account, consider, integrate, and that we specifically want to give, for instance, Exportal some space to demonstrate some new features that will then be integrated in Xworld and perhaps potentially also Xfabric. So, in order to be able to do this and execute even better on this new product, we're shifting the time frame for either Q2, either Q3 or Q4 to demonstrate the first glimpse event. Progress is being made on this, but we're not at the point where the final state has been reached with which we want to come and present this to the world. We're very excited on how this will be integrated with Exportal. We're very excited on how this will be integrated with several partners that we're having discussion with. But we want to take the time and make sure that the best version of the product is demonstrated to the community. Now, moving one step beyond this, you remember I mentioned the protocol roadmap with a few really important milestones. I've mentioned the product roadmap with several milestones that are happening at the same time, and that we're pushing really, really hard towards. Now, moving one step further, when we think about expansion to the power of X, we don't think only about the protocol, we don't think only about the products that we are building, but in fact we're also thinking about new verticals that we want to showcase and take within this new calendar and roadmap that we want to share. And so updates from Holoride, updates from Hatem, updates from ZoidPay, updates from Ethium, updates from Xoxno, Human Protocol, Black Hat Network, Cantina Royale, SWAP, QWAT, Swing, CoinDrip, Jex Exchange, or Cyberpunk are new updates that will showcase and that will integrate in this master roadmap with exciting milestones that are going to come, such that everything that's coming is not only rested on the protocol, not only rested on some of the core products that are coming, but then also very, very excitingly positioned within the ecosystem with many, many new startups that are building on MultiversX. Now, beyond this ecosystem of startup vertical within the ecosystem, we've also looked at the dev ecosystem, which, as I've mentioned before, is now close to a tipping point. We've seen some remarkable contributions within the ecosystem with XSafe coming to live. The multi-sig that's now usable and open source that you can contribute to. I think there are another 2, 3 open source multi-sigs at this point, and that's really great. We've seen great upgrades, great progress, and great contribution through 11 tools. We've also seen some a super interesting and cool tool called X Network provided by the community. Then MultiversX Ops, MX Console, then ESDT Space that has provided a DApp template in Vue.js. Then, of course, a really cool contribution from Mondorian with the Vasting DApp that's open source. The Wallet Connect support contribution from CyberCity and Cyberpunk. Um, the awesome MultiversX resources that have been put in place for a longer time and are currently compiling a library of all the interesting tools that are open source and interesting for the different use cases that you want to play with. And also EGLD Dev Hub. All these initiatives are just a few among many that we've seen within the ecosystem, and those are really, really great. We very, very much appreciate these types of contributions, and I do believe that we're now at a point where, just as we are seeing even more contributions on the tooling side, we're seeing even more contributions on the product side and on the NFT side. So within the NFT space, again, this is a different and separate vertical that we're going to take a very close look at and that we're going to showcase and spotlight. In addition to the protocol vertical, the product vertical, and the startup vertical, the dev vertical. Now, within the NFT space, there are many, many projects. I'm only going to mention a few that have come with repeated and exciting updates and that continue to build communities around them to experiment and explore new use cases, whether it's Elrond Apes, whether it's Gnogon, Cantina Royale, Sense Forfeit, Elrond Mafia, Drifters, Cyberpunk City, Aquaverse, Giants, Super Rare Bears, Cow Cow, and Vapor Republic. I'm sure the projects within the ecosystem are many more than the ones I'm currently mentioning. All I'm saying is within this master roadmap, we're not only going to discuss about this specific launch, we're going to discuss about so many launches that this will be at least 10 times better, 10 times stronger, and 10 times more exciting than everything we've done with the 100 days of hypergrowth part. Now, there's also a DeFi vertical that we're going to spotlight and showcase. And here you can think about Jex Exchange, Hatom, Joule Swap, DX25, Quantum X, Celeste, Wandex, Candy Swap, everything that the guys are at Arda are doing, um, SWAP, and so forth. The entire point with mentioning and showcasing this is not that we're, let's say, endorsing, that we're just saying go and take and buy and do all this stuff. Uh, Everything we're doing is saying these are great efforts. Everyone that puts this type of effort um, uh, has a place within the multiverse ecosystem, and we have a lot of respect for all the builders that are putting the effort in. As you've probably seen with the NFT spotlights, with X Spotlight and beyond, and with the DeFi discussions, we do spend a lot of time and will continue to do this in a way that we want to showcase all the efforts that are being put on these verticals within the ecosystem. Now, there's another vertical in addition to this, that's a gamify vertical. So the efforts that Cantina Royale is putting here, the efforts of Cyberpunk City, the efforts of Knights of Katina, of Knogan, of Krogan, of Wham, um, of Elrond Mafia. Um, those efforts are really cool and exciting, and I'm super curious to see them brought through fruition. Now, of course, there are three other points with which I'll probably reach a first conclusion. With all these verticals, we want to make sure that the supercomputer is live and is working better at every day. The better it can work, the better it is for all the applications that are being built. Second, we want to see as many applications as possible that try to bring this supercomputer to the world, that solves some real problems or challenges for users, and that users really love. Third, we want to see the ecosystem expand and bloom like never before. And I do believe that at this point, we're now ready to see that. We've seen all the signs of the ecosystem reaching this type of tipping point, and we want to not only encourage, but actively cultivate, participate, and do this. And then for all the different verticals that I was mentioning, whether it's the dev vertical, the NFT space vertical, the DeFi vertical, the gamify vertical, all of this will be cultivated in different way and expanded upon. The most important part that I think everyone in the community wishes we do a lot more, and that we're finally ready to do more, is efforts across the world. So we've now put in place a series of very significant and exciting events that will call the Global World Tour, or Global World Outreach initiative, that we are demonstrating now in Paris. We're super excited to be in Paris. In Paris, we'll have an event, we'll have a conversation with a lot of builders, a lot of community members in Paris, and we'd love to see you there. But even more exciting is that each month, starting with this month, will basically just demonstrate a lot of events that we'll do across the world. And here we're starting with Paris. We'll be at Paris Blockchain Week, and we'll have our own event in collaboration, or immediately after Paris Blockchain Week. Then we'll be in Barcelona at the WASM IO conference. Then we'll be in Romania, in several towns, Craiova, Bucharest, Cluj, and so forth. Then we'll be at the Web3 Festival in Hong Kong. Um, quite curious how it will play out there. Then we'll do some exciting things with the Bucharest University. Then we'll be at Consensus in Austin, Texas. Then we'll be in Bucharest and we'll have an event with Ichi Bucharest. Then we'll be in Italy, in Milan, and then we'll be in Berlin, in Germany. So this is the point where we are taking the efforts to the next level, not only in terms of products, not only in terms of vertical, not only in sharing this with the entire community, but then sharing this with the world, making sure that from each point to the next one, we're preparing better, we're sharing this better to the world. We meet all the builders, we give them a voice, give them a space to demonstrate what they've been working on. And especially for Germany and for each of the countries, will connect with the most strategic people in those countries, work with them to do something that's meaningful and exciting. And I've mentioned Germany and Berlin, and I think in Germany we'll definitely have an event and conference where we'll collaborate with entity in what they're trying to build and trying to do. In fact, I think within the ecosystem roadmap, they've been putting a lot of effort in, and will probably launch something that will be part of the roadmap that I've mentioned above. Now, um, all of this, all of this would not be complete without two important points. It is a monster effort. It will have to require the best of our energies, and it will require us to reinvent ourselves, to scale the efforts that we're putting in, to add some strategic and resourceful and super skilled and smart people, and then to communicate with the community, to engage with the builders, with the validators, and so forth in a much more compelling and meaningful way. So the last 2 points, in addition to the world tour and the global roadmap that will have the several verticals that I was mentioning, in June or July, we'll have the biggest MultiversX hackathon up until this point. Of course, we've participated and began participating in the Bucharest hackathon. We'll probably be present in some hackathons until that point. But in June or July, we'll have our first really cool, big, and exciting hackathon. And we're already preparing for that. Hopefully, during the next few weeks, we'll have a clear date on that so that companies, startups, people within the ecosystem can prepare and get their applications ready and get their skills ready, such that in the summer they can come meet with us and be part of this awesome hackathon. Now, I guess the most interesting part that has connected all the dots and is very, very important is the X Day event. At X Day, we've presented this new vision. At X Day, we've outlined a roadmap for a few different products that we believed will reshape the entire ecosystem and will reshape also people's lives beyond the ecosystem and the group of people that we have, that will enable us to address a much larger group of people, to grow and grow in a much more accelerated and robust way than ever before. We've also brought at X Day all the really cool and exciting builders from the community. People from many, many countries, people that are building on many verticals, and builders that we respect and love. And this entire roadmap, this entire set of milestones essentially starts with a global tour and global outreach series of events that we're going to have, then leads to the hackathon that we're going to have that connects all the tooling, all the builders, and then also leads to X Day 2023. And we already have a tentative idea on the date. We're in the process of clarifying some of the details, such that, again, during the next 2 to 4 weeks, we'll be able to announce the date. We'll be able to communicate some of the details, and you'll all be able to schedule the events, schedule the trips, and we will love to see you be part of this new and exciting X Day event. Where we'll probably demonstrate more interesting, more exciting, more meaningful products along the entire set of builders and teams of builders within this ecosystem. Now, I've gone through an immense amount of ideas, milestones, verticals that all tie together to this idea. Multiverse X is a new type of supercomputer, on top of which we're building many new applications that will serve the world in a new way. Beyond the applications, we're also thinking about some very strategic interfaces that will address larger and strategic groups of people, and that will enable us to bring not only the core functionalities of the network, but then also tools and applications from the entire ecosystem to new users. And of course, to do all this, um, it really takes time. It really takes effort. It really takes a lot of effort from the entire community, from the entire ecosystem. But despite challenges on a macro scale, despite the different things that are happening in the markets, we are extremely well positioned to be able to execute on this set of products, to be able to deliver on them, to meet with all of you as we start the global outreach tour, and to start a new growth engine with respect to marketing that is not just done randomly, but converts users to real usage, to real adoption across the entire multiverse ecosystem. So I'm very curious to hear thoughts and feedback on all the points. Please be aware that there's a lot of effort across the space, not only from the Multiverse X team, but from all the teams within the space to deliver products, to think about the next steps. And I think that now more than ever, it's time to build, and it's time to meet with other builders, and it's time to take the products and adoption to the next level. Perhaps even the macro conditions might present some fascinating opportunities that without which adoption would otherwise take 5 to 10 years in some verticals. And with these challenges that could be transformed to opportunities, adoption might be accelerated, and in 1 year we could achieve what others would in 5 or 10 years. So I do think we're close to a point where, if we focus on the sustainability part, if we focus on the scaling part, if we take this technology on an international level, and bring it to each country with the new set of builders that we will meet every step of the way, um, it will reach a point where it becomes unstoppable. And the whole idea can perhaps be summarized to accumulated accumulating efforts that eventually lead to a tipping point. This is the entire idea that um, we're trying to trigger, that we're trying to put the building blocks together towards. And once unlocked, will be extremely surprising and extremely exciting. And I'm convinced that as we release the new products, as we release the new upgrades, or the new features, we are very, very close to a point where this is going to be taken to the next level. Um, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts. A lot has been covered. By the end of the week, or latest Monday or Tuesday next week, we'll have a document that will cover, put in writing, the main points that we've mentioned here, put in writing the new and different verticals that we're having discussions on, and also will show the hyper growth plan that is really taken to the power of X. The power of X, meaning that it's not only about Multiverse X or the Multiverse X team or some of the products, but it's about the large number of builders within the ecosystem that are putting in the effort and that are ready to take this ecosystem to the next level. So very much appreciate all the efforts, and very curious to hear your thoughts on this front as we move forward. Um, to close, perhaps I will move to the section where we take a few of the questions from the community. There will probably be um, a few of questions, and I'm trying to see if my colleagues have put some of them together. Um, we'll just check here. See. So I see two questions. If you have more, feel free to share them. Maybe 5, 6 questions we'll be able to take and address as well. So the first question is, one second. The first question is this. Benny, I didn't hear you talking about use cases involving governments on MultiversX. I want to see you making a pilot program for a smarter city where people can use a token to do everything. This is a great point, and we've in fact had several strategic conversations with several governments that are interested and excited about this technology. And the key point here that we've discovered is that with this large institutions, it is extremely important to have tools that makes things very simple, that such projects can die the death of 1,000 cuts if things are, let's say, started, but they cannot be taken to their natural conclusions. So we have several conversations. We are putting a lot of effort in the idea of thinking about what it would mean to build a new city, what it would mean to have very advanced technologies interconnected, and what it would mean to have this built with MultiversX technology. So as soon as we have a concrete update on this, we'll definitely share. But I can say at this point that we're having several conversations that are interesting and exciting. But I want to leave them the space to bloom and transform into something practical that is happening before I announce something. Um, Another question is swaps where Bitcoin and Ethereum are needed very much. When should we expect them on MultiversX? The key point here is probably the following. We have a discussion beyond the MultiversX bridge that is live and moving forward and expanding. We have a discussion with two of the largest bridges within the blockchain ecosystem that would enable tens of network integrations at the same time if Multiverse X would be connected there. We've been having several conversations for some time. Like this conversation has not begun now. Rather, it has been in the works for more than 6 months. But I believe we're now very close to a point where a conclusion will be reached. As soon as we have that, the entire DeFi space and the entire liquidity that we have on chain will probably be transformed just because you'll be able to bridge even faster from tens of new or different networks beyond what we have right now. Even in our bridge, in the bridge that has been built within the ecosystem, there are several new integrations that are in place and coming up. But as soon as we'll integrate some of the largest bridges out there, we believe that liquidity and transfers from other chains will become a lot simpler, a lot more effective, a lot more inexpensive. And at the end of the day, the Multiverse X ecosystem will benefit tremendously. Um, the third question is, hi, Benny, how prepared is Multiverse X for a regulation of cryptocurrencies? Will you have an upper hand compared to other crypto projects? The key point that we've been trying to do for years now is set in place a robust and solid foundation that is both compliant with all the important rules and regulations within an ecosystem where we're existing, but then also engage in thoughtful and productive conversations with the regulators to understand some of their concerns, to address some of their concerns, and even to find productive solutions that enable us to be one step ahead in terms of what we could do to prepare for such regulations. It has been surprising and concerning to see what has been happening in the US recently. And it's unfortunate in some sense that this all is happening. I'm I'm happy to see that Europe is in this sense in a much better position, and I hope things will not change in on this front. On the other hand, I expect change to come, and we're here to observe, prepare, and make sure that we're one step ahead whenever something like this is thought of, discussed, and proposed. We usually hear about it, get a chance to prepare for it, and also get the chance to suggest feedback and have some discussions. So we appreciate every thoughtful conversation on this regulatory side and believe that with each positive and productive step that we'll be able to do on the product side, on the community side, on the ecosystem side, with the different startups that integrate the technology, each of them will be a new and more strong argument toward the regulators whenever we want to have a conversation toward the positive impact that blockchain technology and especially MultiversX can bring. Um, one last question. Um, one last question, and maybe then I'll add one element beyond that. First wave of people. Any update on when the first wave of people on the waiting list will be selected eligible for the card? Are cards coming in Q2? Um, the progress on the cards has been good. We're pushing forward with the entire team to make things happen. We've seen some very exciting things being tested, and I sure hope that during the next month, hopefully we'll have a new update on this, specifically on some time frame, specifically on the first wave of people getting a notification or an update on what's next to be done. um, we're now very close to um, reaching a first conclusion, and then as soon as we have this first conclusion, we'll probably have a timeline. All this with the card is super exciting, and believe me when I say that I'll be the first to share this with you, with our entire community, as soon as things are ready. And progress has been, despite obstacles, despite challenges, still very productive. So I'm quite happy to see that things are moving forward. um, Two other notes. One, a reminder that on the 23rd March, we have NFT Factory Paris meetup. And it's going to be super interesting and exciting to have everyone in Paris. I think we're going to see a lot of people even during Paris Blockchain Week. Um, and maybe one question that has not come up, but I think we'll have a lot of conversations on, is that this entire year will probably feel like the year of artificial intelligence. The effects and the implications of everything that's happening in this field are going to be enormous. And so, of course, at MultiversX, we've been thinking, we've been playing with this type of technology, we've been experimenting. You've seen, some of you, some of the builders have seen the bot that we've built and that we've been experimenting with. And I do think that on this front, we'll have several updates during the next period that will be interesting and exciting, and that will contribute tremendously to the ecosystem. Last but not least, of course, with the entire roadmap I've mentioned, um, I've not mentioned some of the other strategic collaborations and partnerships that are in the pipelines, that are happening, and that will also contribute to adoption and scale. Now, in conclusion, um, a lot of time has passed since our last town hall. We've covered, I believe, a lot in this current town hall. A lot of updates to be digested, to be processed. Very curious to hear your thoughts, your ideas on each of the products we've mentioned. We believe that each of them can be improved and can be taken to the next level. Also, very important to see you, to get to meet you at the different meetups, the different conferences, and different events that we're going to schedule. And at the end of the day, it really still is day one at MultiversX, as it was with Elrond. We'll keep pushing super hard. We still have many things in the pipelines the products that are coming, and so forth, um, keep us awake not only during the day but also during the night sometimes. And so we're excited about all of this, excited to share with you, and also curious to hear thoughts and feedback. Last point with which I'll conclude is we'll probably begin a series of syncs and updates um, on the different verticals. So, one with the validators, one with the developers in the ecosystem, one with the general community, and with people in the community. Those will be either spaces or just YouTube discussions, conversations. Um, and we look very much forward to not only engaging, but hearing feedback, thoughtful ideas, and conversations. Um, Thank you for the support, for being with us throughout all this time, through all the challenging and also exciting steps, and cannot wait to meet um, you guys, and to share the next steps as we're ready to make the progress happen. A lot of effort put but by the entire team to be able to ship the milestones that we set ourselves to be able to share them with you. And I very, very much appreciate the effort, not only in our team, but the great efforts that we've seen in the community as well. And that I think we're going to see even more of and discuss even more of during the next period. So, just as with Hypergrowth 100, when we announced it and move forward with it, I was not only excited by the step, but then also curious where it would lead us, what we'll discover, how adoption will unfold. um, Perhaps even more so now with expansion or hypergrowth to the power of X. I'm super curious to see this unfold, and quite excited to push this forward with the entire team, with the entire community, and with all the builders within the ecosystem. Thank you for all the effort, and let's make some great things happen during the next period. Take care, guys. Talk very soon.